Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and today I'm going to be taking a big overall look at the problems with the marketing and the public relations for Fallout 76, and this is going to go back for a few months back into the past. We're going to do a rehash of some of the stuff I've talked about on the channel for all of these months, and we're going to discuss how that ties in to the latest PR idiocy coming from Bethesda and their public relations department, and this is going to relate at the end specifically to our friend Pete Hines. Now, I usually try to be calm and collected in my videos. Not always. This one's going to come off a little bit ranty, so if you're someone who can't handle the sound of someone who's going to get agitated over a company continuing to slap us around in the face, then maybe you should not listen to the video any further. I apologize, maybe my next video will be more to your liking, but this one I'm going to get a little bit agitated, so just buckle up. Now, I've been making videos all the way back into the summertime after E3, discussing specifically the double talk, the double speak, all this nonsense, the back and forth sort of contradicting messages that we kept getting from Pete Hines and Todd Howard as they were doing multiple interviews all throughout the summer months and into the fall surrounding Fallout 76, and we just kept getting contradictory stories left and right, and people kept telling me that I was over-exaggerating it, that I was reading too much into it, but the fact remains is that we could not seem to get a straight answer out of either one of these guys when it came to what type of game Fallout 76 was going to be. Now, a lot of us had a lot of conjecture about what the game would end up being like, and a lot of it, unfortunately, came true. That's a topic for a little bit different video. Today, I want to discuss specifically how we have seen the constant and non-stop degradation of the public relations between Bethesda and the player base. Now, this started really in earnest about a month and a half ago when we started getting into the stress test period and the beta period for Fallout 76. Because when we first got the announcement for the stress test period on both Bethesda's community page and from Pete Hines' Twitter account, what we were told is that anyone who purchased the game from a participating retailer, including PlayStation, PC, and Xbox, anyone who purchased on those platforms would have a chance to be randomly selected for the stress test period. Now, as it turned out, as has been reported, this was only actually available for people who bought the game on Xbox. PS4 and PC were completely excluded from the stress test period, making the random selected from any platform a complete lie. But people told me at the time that I was overreacting because it was just a stress test, and at the end of the day, I said, yes, it's not a big deal, the stress test itself, it's the deception and the misleading language that was used that led us to the point where customers felt like they had been lied to. Then, just a week or so later, we got the news about the beta time periods and how severely restricted they were going to be, even though beforehand we had been led to believe that the beta period was going to start on Xbox on October 23rd, and it was going to be running for anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day. The wording was, the servers might be up from anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day, and then we'll pull them down and work on it and put them back up. That's how it was worded. And then when it turns out that the beta wasn't actually going to be available every day, and even on the days when it was available, it wasn't even necessarily going to be up for a full 4 hours, because some of them were only 2-hour beta periods, well, this got some people upset. And if you recall, the total amount of exclusive beta time that the Xbox had was 8 hours in a week's time. That was the big exclusive beta period that Microsoft paid for and that people who bought the game on Xbox had to deal with. And people were saying, oh, well, they never said the servers are definitely going to be up for 4 to 8 hours a day. They said they might be up. And they turned into a semantics argument, and you had some people saying, no, this is clearly a case of them lying because people know what a beta is, and this is not a beta. This is just some paid early access. There's no beta going on here. People said, no, it's just they're stress testing the servers. You guys are making too much out of it once again. And at the time I said, yes, once again, this is a small thing. It's just a beta. It's not a huge deal. But once again, I was upset about this misleading advertisement and the way that they twist the words around and try to change it up and mislead and, yes, lie to the consumers. And I'm not even going to get into the lies that we feel we were told about the quality of the game itself and the fact that the game has launched in what is clearly an unfinished state. I'm not even going to get into that because a lot of that is very subjective. I'm trying to keep this strictly on the times when the marketing was directly misleading or in fact a lie. And now I'm going to get to the latest kerfluffle that's been going on, which you probably have heard about because this news broke yesterday. A lot of people have already done videos on it. I wanted to do one last night. Alas, I did not have the time to get a video up and posted, which is just as well because I learned even more today about the situation that I didn't even know last night, so now I can speak to it a little bit further. Now, if you haven't heard, the latest debacle going around with Bethesda's pathetic marketing is the fact that they sold the $200 collector's edition to people and promised in the advertisements that they would be getting a nice canvas duffel bag with the collector's set, in addition to the power armor helmet and the map and some other figurines, some other just tack. I'm not personally a collector's edition sort of guy. I don't need to have all the extra doodads hanging around my house. I prefer worrying about the game itself. That's what I care about, not all the statues or whatnot. I just don't care about stuff like that. So I'm not someone that would buy this anyway. I certainly didn't buy this edition at all. But in the advertisements, you can clearly see in every advertisement it is listed as a canvas duffel bag that you will get. Canvas, which is a high quality material when it comes to making a duffel bag. However, what has actually happened is Bethesda shipped out a bunch of collector's editions without a canvas bag. In fact, it was a cheap, horribly cheap looking nylon duffel bag, which anyone who knows the difference between a canvas bag and a nylon bag would instantly know that you have been handed basically a hefty trash bag to keep your stuff. In fact, a hefty bag might be slightly less prone to rip than a nylon bag. Now this right here is a clear and undeniable case of false advertisement. People were specifically promised a material good that did not arrive to them in the state that it was promised or described when they bought it. This is undeniable. People who wanted to wave off the other issues, like I just talked about, the stress test, the beta, and all the other stuff that we were told throughout the summer that turned out to be false about this game. People just wanted to wave all of that off. Here's a case where I would like to see anyone try to defend it, and I know I've already seen people saying, well, who would even care about the bag? Who even cares? What's the big deal, you guys? Just further proving the point that some people will defend literally anything these companies do. But here is a case where this is clearly a situation of false advertisement. There is no debate about it. None. You can't provide one. Not unless you are capable of extreme intellectual dishonesty. Period. You cannot argue this. People bought a product that was advertised as one level of quality, and it came to them as a clearly inferior quality product. And I'm going to get to the best part now. The false advertisement isn't even the best part. The best part is Bethesda's public relations response. Because somebody sent an email into customer support saying, hey, what the hell? Why are you sending me this cheap nylon duffel bag when the advertisement clearly states canvas duffel bag? And he was met with an email that said that, the cost for the bag was too high and that's why they decided not to do it. It costs too much. So the $200 price that you paid for it, that doesn't matter because we decided that it was going to be cost prohibitive for us to make it. And so they said they're not doing anything about it. Now, what's funny about this is Bethesda quickly said that this person was speaking out of turn. He's not even a Bethesda employee. Can you believe it? He was just subcontracted out. He's not even an employee. He had no clue what he was saying. This doesn't represent Bethesda's policy. It has nothing to do with the expense of the bag. No. You see, Bethesda's official response was that there's a shortage of materials. I'm sorry. I somewhat keep up with the news, and I was not aware that there was a worldwide canvas shortage. Bethesda, you have a shortage of canvas? A shortage of canvas! And that's your official response after saying that the previous person spoke out of turn. No, I would suggest that the previous person actually told the truth. And that's why you're further denying it. It probably was too expensive for you once you realize what the cost would be, because you realize that the pre-orders on this game were not nearly what you wanted them to be. You weren't getting the market gouge that you thought you were going to get. Isn't that the case? And to handle the situation, you've decided to do basically nothing. They go on. Bethesda goes on to offer anyone who's upset with this to contact them, and they would be happy to help you in processing a credit of 500 atoms to your credit in the Atom Store. That's right. Your $200 collector's edition that they lied to you, that they falsely advertised to you, that they scammed you with, they're going to try to buy you off with $5 worth of virtual currency. That's right. That's right. Oh, and by the way, from what I've heard, there's language in the end user license agreement. Basically, if you accept that 500 atom credit, if you say, okay, yeah, give me the 500 credit, well, you're basically waiving your rights to any sort of compensation that may come later if they change their mind. Isn't that delightful? What a lovely scam. Oh, by the way, 500 Atom points buys you basically nothing in the store. There's a few things that you can buy, but when they're selling, I think just to buy a color scheme in the game cost $18. I saw an outfit in the game. It was like just $10. So the $5 worth of atoms buys you maybe a hat. A virtual hat, instead of the physical object that you shelled out money for. And Bethesda's response is, hey, we're going to try to buy you off with a handful of bucks. And, whoops, sorry about that. They never sent out any warning to the people who pre-ordered it. They kept accepting pre-orders. They didn't stop. They didn't say, hey, we can't fulfill our obligation here. They didn't say anything. They just shipped out a nylon trash bag to their most hardcore fans. That's the worst part. They gouged their most loyal fans with this subpar product that was falsely advertised. One more example of Bethesda straight up lying, and this time try to defend it. Go for it. You may say you don't care about the bag, and again, I didn't buy it. And personally, no, I don't care about the bag. It's the lies and the false advertisement and the deceptive language that they've used this whole time, and going back years for other games as well. I'm not even going to get into that. I have done video after video over the summer about the lies of Bethesda. It's well chronicled. People can deny it all they want. Go ahead and try to deny this. That people were lied to. Their most loyal fans who would shell out $200 for this game, the lowest reviewed AAA game of the generation, they shelled out $200 for, and now, what do you want me to do? You want me to sit back and just accept it, Bethesda? You're gonna throw me $5 worth of compensation of virtual currency? Get out of my face. Unbelievable how far Bethesda has fallen off of a cliff in the eyes of the player base. And I know people are telling me, oh, Coach, you're just a hater. You're just biased against Bethesda. Yeah, forget about the fact that I own probably 24 of their games from their publisher over the years. Yeah, I hate Bethesda. I'm a hater. Shut up. I've had it with that. This is legit criticism. This is an actual problem. They lied to people, and they've been lying to people, and they sold everyone who bought this game a malfunctioning product. regardless of the people who want to tell me I haven't had any bugs. Well, everyone else has. I discussed that in my last video. This to me is honestly, this could be the last straw. I may never buy another Bethesda game after this. The responses that they give is ridiculous. And you want to know what? At this point, I'm ready to say, Pete Hines, the job you have done marketing this game has been atrocious and filled with lies and misleading language, and you know it. And isn't it also funny, Pete Hines, how you couldn't shut up on Twitter before this game launched? Every single day. Pete Hines said this today on Twitter. Pete Hines said this today on Twitter. And since the game launched, the only tweet you've put up is a picture of you comforting your dog. The game came out over 2 weeks ago. It's really strange that you couldn't keep yourself off of Twitter for 5 seconds every single day since E3. You were on Twitter constantly seeing articles and videos being made about your tweets, and now you're nowhere to be found. After the biggest embarrassment of a AAA release that we have seen in years. Way to go, Pete. I'm at the point now where I'm legitimately telling you, Pete, I think you need to resign. Because you have failed miserably at your job. I'm not saying you need to be fired. And I'm not saying Daddy ZeniMax needs to come in and step in and give you a talking to. But if you had any concept of what you were doing, you need to remove yourself from your position, because you clearly are incompetent at your job at this point. Not only was your entire marketing cycle filled with lies and deceptive language, now you have an example where you have clearly falsely advertised your most expensive product, and your response is pitiful. And when the non-employee put out the email talking about how it was too expensive to make and you denied it, yeah, well, I think that's actually probably the truth. You guys didn't want to shell out because you saw that the pre-orders were soft and that this game wasn't going to even come close to the numbers of Fallout 4. Isn't that the truth, Pete? You need to take a step back, buddy, and either completely change the way you do business with your snarky attitude and the way you like to insult the fans on Twitter who ask you legitimate questions, and the attitude you like to cop with people who are legitimate fans of the games, which you clearly are not. You need to either ditch that routine altogether or resign. Because the job you did this year, if Bethesda wasn't a privately owned company, the shareholders would be coming for you, Pete. And you'd probably be out of a job. Because the level of incompetence shown from you and your department, which you can blame whoever else you want, the non-employee, whoever else. Well, who has access to a Bethesda account? Pete, you are in charge of the whole kit and caboodle for Bethesda Softworks. So you can blame it on a lowly non-employee if you want. Do whatever you got to do. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with you, buddy. And you have done a terrible job with the public relations of this game. And it continues now that you've clammed up the same that Sean Murray did. You're pulling a Sean Murray. Just going radio silent with this bomb of a game that you guys released. The Metacritic scores are even lower now than when I reported on them last week. They've dropped even further, the aggregate score. It's a joke. And you've done a terrible job at your job this year. That's all I got to say. Anyway, I'm Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people mad about this, saying, you shouldn't be calling for his job. That's insane, Coach. Well, I'm not asking for him to be fired, but if he had any conscience whatsoever, he'd probably step down and let somebody a little more competent do his job. Because all he's done is made Bethesda look terrible this year. Absolutely terrible. And don't even get me started on #Player1 when every game you announce this year has a multiplayer component. Way to go, Pete. You're a joke. I'm done. Anyway, let me know what you guys think once again down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward. Sorry this video got a little bit too salty for some of you, I'm sure. But anyway, I had to get this out because I am heated at this entire situation and the fact that Bethesda continues to treat their players like garbage. Keep it turned to 11.